It's a picture of domestic heaven. And Donald Mellon is your typical doting daddy, a clean-cut family man his little girls admire and adore.
He always helped people without them asking for help. He really was a nice, caring guy.
Donald's family owns successful McDonald's franchises in their hometown of Phoenix, Arizona. And that means Donald, his wife Karen, and their 3 kids have a pretty comfortable life.
We used to go on road trips a lot, family trips to Disneyland and Hawaii, and we got to do a lot of cool things with him like that.
But there are also trips down darker roads.
Unfortunately, he turned to the alcohol, and he just wasn't strong enough to give up the alcohol for his family. And with raising 3 kids, I couldn't do it anymore.
Karen divorces Donald, but how does this clean-cut, all-American dad go from this to this? The newly single dad is now under the influence of more than just liquor, drowning his sorrows in the intoxicating charms of an exotic dancer, Rebecca Chiva.
She was some young girl that was stripping, drinking, and she met an older man that had money, and she needed money. He needed company.
Turns out this is no rebound romance. It leads down the aisle and to big trouble. Donald sets himself up in a new home with his new wild child bride and her young son Thaddeus. Now Daddy can really cut loose.
My first thought was, wow, this lady's fun.
Their friend Keita Adair says parties with this odd couple were a blast.
He was very charismatic, funny, one of the most amazing, giving individuals I've ever met in my life. Rebecca was young, beautiful, feisty, fun.
But if you ask Donald's ex, the hard-partying ex-stripper Rebecca was too much fun. Way too much.
She showed my daughter a picture of her giving him oral sex. She was taking them to go egging houses, and the amount of alcohol in the house, I knew that that was not any situation for any child to be in.
All that alcohol isn't good for Donald either.
What was that?
Donald, the clean-cut family man, starts to change. First on the outside, then on the inside. Answering to Rebecca's nickname for him, DJ.
The minute he met her, he turned into DJ, into something that I had no idea who he was anymore.
And DJ and Rebecca are arm in arm, racing down a path of destruction, stocking up not only on liquor, but a terrifying arsenal of guns. Friends say they're locked and loaded in every possible way, and even their party buddies smell trouble.
They woke up, their breakfast was a big old bottle of Chardonnay. By lunchtime, they were drinking vodka mixed with something, doing shots, wine all night long, and it seemed like they never slept or ate. It was just a recipe for disaster.
And on a hot night in July, that simmering tension explodes.
Phoenix 911, where's your emergency? Hello?
Yeah, my husband is bleeding and I need a vehicle now.
If Rebecca wants Donald to live, she's not helping. Just listen to her incoherent call to 911.
And what's your husband doing?
He's bleeding.
Okay, what happened to him?
I don't know. He's bleeding.
I'm trying to figure out what's going on, ma'am. You're not really giving me any information. Why is he bleeding?
Okay, he's gonna die if you don't set an ambulance
Okay, why is
now.
he bleeding?
I don't know.
But by the time EMS arrives, there's no saving Donald from a single gunshot wound to the head. He's dead at the hospital 2 hours later. And responding officers find this pistol stuffed between the seat cushions. At the police station, a woozy Rebecca tells cops she had been drinking and has no idea what happened to her husband.
I drank like 2 drinks, he drank 2 drinks. I came out of the room and then I was like, why are you laying on the ground? What are you doing? And then I was like, oh my God, like there was like blood coming out of his head.
Okay.
And I called 911 like right away.
Rebecca may not know, but Donald's own daughters hear the awful truth for themselves. A message from their father at the very moment Rebecca kills him.
My sister Ashley, she was like, he called me last night. He left me a voicemail. Let's listen to it.
Received yesterday at 9:44 p.m.
So we put the phone on speaker, and my dad said,
Hey, call me. What the
it was like he looked up and he saw her with the gun, because then he says,
What the
and then you heard a boom. And just to know, wow, I heard my dad's last words, you know.
Donald's daughters are sure that's Rebecca, sounding so determined just before she pulled the trigger.
My first thought was, this evil I knew that she was capable of something like this.
Turns out a camera on the living room wall would prove Darcy right. When investigators view security footage at the moment marked 9:44 p.m., full story of that night suddenly emerges.
She flipped out. She killed him.
In a tape so shocking and gruesome, police won't let us show it, Rebecca enters the living room while Donald's leaving that message for his daughter. Rebecca raises a gun to Donald's face, takes aim, and fires. The bullet grazing his skull and lodging in Rebecca's wedding picture.
She went and changed shirts. She went and put on a shirt that said Shooter's World. And then she went back and shot him in the head.
What the tape reportedly shows after that fatal gunshot is just as horrifying. Cops say while blood pours from Donald's head, Rebecca sits down on the couch right next to her dying spouse for 23 full minutes and casually smokes a cigarette.
I think she sat next to him and smoked a cigarette thinking, die, 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 die.
Donald's daughter believes those 23 minutes were the difference between life and death for her dad. By the time Rebecca finally makes that rambling call for help, it's too late to save him.
That to me is what confirms she's evil. How do you not only do that to someone, but then sit and let them die and watch them die?
The video proves it. This is an open and shut case of cold-blooded murder. Or is it? When cops dig deeper into the rest of the home security tapes, shocking discoveries turn the case on its head.
Phoenix 911, where's your emergency?
He's gonna die if you don't set an ambulance
Okay, why
now.
is he bleeding?
Donald Mellon murdered, one brutal gunshot to the head. The shooter, his young wife, Rebecca. There's no doubt she pulled the trigger. It's right there, all caught on home security video.
The first thing I said, I was like, she did it. I just knew she did it.
It's even in a voicemail Donald was leaving for his daughter.
What the
And police say, in disturbing home surveillance footage, Rebecca just sits there for 23 long minutes, smoking a cigarette, patiently waiting for her husband to die.
That to me is what confirms she's evil. How do you not only do that to someone, but then sit and let them die and watch them die? And
But is this a case of cold-blooded murder?
They were so out there towards the end.
Keita and Marcus Adair lived with Donald and Rebecca for a year, witnessing firsthand the out-of-control drunken parties and much more.
It would be so calm and chill. And then somebody had too much to drink, and Rebecca could be nagging and annoying and not know when to stop.
Would he get upset? He would get upset. There were times where she would instigate. There were times he would hit her.
The boozing is nonstop, and the violence is so frequent, Keita and Marcus finally have had enough.
It got to a point where they were just both so bad. that we couldn't stay anymore. Something bad was about to happen, and we didn't want to witness it.
Phoenix police witness it a lot. In just 1 year prior to the murder, cops are called to the home an alarming 21 times. Calls for welfare checks, domestic violence, and assault.
Normally, you don't see police going out and interacting with one specific home with that frequency.
It all adds up not to a party, but to relentless abuse and a tragedy waiting to happen. On a visit dated March 13th, an officer notes swelling and redness around both of Rebecca's eyes and a chilling exchange with the battered woman. Writing, she was mouthing the words, "Help me." And cops say when Rebecca hears Donald is being arrested, she says this in the police report. "You have no idea what you guys just did to me. You have killed me. He's just gonna kill me."
She became extremely terrified because she felt like DJ was going to be thrown into such a state of anger that he would kill her in the future.
Donald tells cops they're all lies, but were they? Jennifer Wilmot is Rebecca's attorney, well known for defending Jodi Arias, a notorious murderer convicted of killing her allegedly violent lover. Wilmot says Rebecca's horrific abuse is all there, caught on tape.
There's surveillance in almost all the rooms of the house and outside. When we actually looked through hours and hours of tape, we actually found quite a few more incidents.
Terrifying incidents like this. Rebecca on the receiving end of a ferocious roundhouse slap. Here, Rebecca smudging Donald's computer screen gets her dragged to the ground, right in front of her son Thaddeus. Then in the kitchen, an attack Rebecca never sees coming. A punch to the back of her head is followed by a humiliating douse of water. And the fights aren't just behind closed doors.
One of the other incidents that we found on the surveillance was in their backyard.
Watch closely. The backyard camera catches a furious Donald chasing down a family pet, then going after other prey.
Rebecca comes outside and she walks towards Mr. Mellon. He walks towards her, and then he just grabs her by the shirt and he's dragging her by her feet, and then he pulls her up by her shirt and ultimately tosses her in the pool. See where he comes inside and he locks the door.
Then there are the guns, a locker full of pistols, shotguns, and assault weapons, adding an alarming level of danger to the couple's combustible war of the roses.
He would pull guns on her. He pretended to play Russian roulette one time with her.
Here's the result of messing with Donald's gun locker.
That's just in 1 week's time, and that just happens to be caught on tape. And so who knows what was going on before that and how often it was.
According to Wilmot, Rebecca writes in her journal, there was one final threat that sent her over the edge.
What Rebecca remembers is that he had been talking about how he was going to hire somebody to break into the house and make it look like a burglary, and she was going to get killed in the process. All I need to do is make the call.
But Donald's family says the defense has it backwards. Donald's only threat was to leave Rebecca, and he feared retribution from his violent bride.
You know why there were surveillance cameras? Because he was afraid she was going to kill him. He knew somewhere in his head she was going to hurt him.
Karen says the clips only show his violent reaction and not Rebecca's terrorizing of Donald.
I know she antagonized him. I know she would do things to purposely hurt him and then get in his face and say, this is what I did. Did it hurt you? And what are you gonna do about it?
I think people hear her version and they think, oh my God, well, good for her. Good for her for getting him. And it infuriates me. It infuriates me because it's not true. You're literally hearing one side of the story, which is being told by a pathological liar. He never, ever, ever raised a hand to me, much less his voice.
And there's something else that could call Rebecca's version of events into question. Remember Rebecca's 911 call?
He's gonna die if you don't set an ambulance.
Okay, why
now.
is he
Marcus and Keita, who've both seen Donald and Rebecca at their very worst. Here, they listen to that horrific voicemail for the very first time.
You gotta be kidding me.
Rebecca, who just minutes later was so incoherent, here on tape, sounds oddly composed.
She seemed very poisoned together. Usually her, when she has been drinking, she slurs, she doesn't make sense. And that was just clear as day.
They both sound like not impaired to me. To me, that sounds not impaired, knowing them.
Whatever her state of mind, authorities know Rebecca's the shooter, but her fate is for a jury to decide. Rebecca maintains she doesn't remember what happened. Is that true? Rebecca Mellon in custody for the point-blank shooting death of her husband, Donald. His family says he never had a chance.
Someone's gonna do something when they're blitzed out of their mind.
Rebecca claims she never had a choice.
She believed that that was it and that he was gonna kill her.
Rebecca is charged with first-degree murder, held on a $1 million bail. Her defense claims she was a battered woman who shot her husband in self-defense. These disturbing videos could sway a jury. But she's gambling with her life again by going to trial.
Had Rebecca gone to trial and lost, she would be facing the rest of her life in prison. She would never, ever get out. She didn't want to risk it.
So before a jury gets to decide on guilt or innocence, Rebecca takes a plea deal, second-degree murder. Her attorney, Jennifer Wilmot, still argues Rebecca never intended to kill Donald.
Why would a woman who had been continually abused for years fire one shot that just grazes his head if she was truly intending to kill him? What would be the point of that? It would be much more likely for her to fire numerous shots to make sure she got him and then call 911 once she knew he was dead.
State of Arizona versus Rebecca Mellon.
At her sentencing, Rebecca admits she was drinking that terrible night and maintains she doesn't remember the crucial 23 minutes after the shooting. The 23 minutes that could have been the difference between life and death for Donald Mellon when he lay bleeding to death while she sat and calmly smoked a cigarette. But it's evidence the Maricopa County judge can't ignore. She's seen the video.
I have a recollection of it. I watched it. I watched as you sat on the sofa, slowly smoking a cigarette, patiently waiting as Mr. Mellon died.
Despite her claims of abuse, the plea deal still puts Rebecca Mellon behind bars for 20 years for the murder of Donald Mellon.
It seems crazy to me. I mean, my dad's gone forever and she gets to kill someone and be free.
With more than 15 years still left in her sentence, Rebecca Mellon agreed to talk about that tragic night for the first time on national television in a phone interview from behind bars with Crime Watch Daily's Anna Garcia.
Rebecca, when you look at that videotape of you shooting your husband, what do you think?
I think it looks horrible, and it just sucks because it's like I don't remember it happening.
And Anna grilled her about that smoke she had while her husband's life slipped away.
But you had the ability and the concentration to sit down and have a cigarette, and based on the video, it appeared like you were watching.
Yeah, I didn't remember even smoking or any of that. And I didn't come back into focus until I saw him on the couch.
What's wrong with him? Can you be more specific?
He's bleeding.
But Rebecca, anyone who endured what we saw you endure in those videos, how could you not want to hurt him back for the way he treated you? I mean, that to me almost sounds logical.
It's just not the type of person I am. I've never been like that, and I've never done anything to hurt anybody, and I had never even been in a fight or anything like that. I'm not that type of person.
Then she reminds Anna of her shocking claim that on the same night she pulled the trigger, Donald was planning to have her killed.
When the gunshot went off, everything went blurry, and I didn't mean for it to go off. I just was trying to plead my case before he made, this phone call that was supposed to be the hitman coming for me.
For Donald's heartbroken daughter, the memory loss is all just another excuse from Rebecca.
That's just screams bull crap to me. That's just a dumb story. Now that I hear that, I'm just like, that's a load of crap,
He wasn't a bad guy, and he wasn't this man that is being put out there. That's not who he was in any way, shape, or form. Rebecca is really good about portraying herself as this meek, little, battered woman, and she's far from that.
And Darcy believes justice should have been life for the life Rebecca stole from her.
I wanted her to be locked up in there forever.